You have no memory of learning to walk. You have no memory of the first time you heard music, or tasted food, or felt sunlight on your face. You have no memory of the people who held you every day for the first years of your life. No memory of learning the language you now think in. No memory of becoming the person you are. You were there for all of it. You experienced every moment of it. Your brain was running, your senses were working, your emotions were firing, and you remember none of it. This isn't amnesia. It isn't brain damage. It happens to every human being who has ever lived across every culture, every language, every era of human history. The first 2 to 3 years of your life are simply gone, sealed off, inaccessible. Scientists call it infantile amnesia because the reason you can't remember being a baby isn't that nothing was being recorded. It's that the recording system itself didn't exist yet. To understand why, you need to understand how memory actually works. Most people think of memory as a single system, like a hard drive recording everything that happens and storing it for later retrieval. This is not how memory works. Memory is not one system. It is at least 5 distinct systems operating simultaneously, each one handling a different kind of information, each one stored in a different part of the brain. There is semantic memory, facts and knowledge, the things you know without remembering how you learned them. There is procedural memory, skills and habits, the things your body knows how to do without your conscious mind directing them. There is working memory, the temporary holding space for whatever you're thinking about right now. And then there is episodic memory, the one that matters here. Episodic memory is the system responsible for storing specific personal experiences, not facts, not skills. Experiences, the memory of a particular afternoon, a conversation, a meal, the feeling of a specific moment in a specific place at a specific time. It is the system that gives you the sense of having lived a continuous life, of being the same person who existed yesterday and last year and a decade ago. Episodic memory is the system that is missing from your first years of life. And the reason it's missing involves a structure deep inside the brain called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is a small curved structure sitting in the medial temporal lobe of each hemisphere of the brain. It is the central hub of episodic memory formation, the region that takes the raw experience of a moment and converts it into a storable memory that can be retrieved later. Without a functioning hippocampus, you can still learn skills. You can still retain facts. You can still navigate familiar spaces. But you cannot form new episodic memories, new memories of specific personal experiences. Patients with severe hippocampal damage live in a permanent present, able to function, but unable to remember anything that happened more than a few minutes ago. Here is the crucial detail. The hippocampus is one of the last brain structures to fully develop. In human infants, the hippocampus is present but functionally immature. The neurons are there, but the connections between them and between the hippocampus and the rest of the cortex are still being formed. The infrastructure for episodic memory encoding simply isn't in place yet. New neurons are still being born in the hippocampus at a rapid rate during infancy, a process called neurogenesis, and this creates an additional problem. When new neurons integrate into an existing hippocampal network, they don't just add storage capacity, they disrupt existing connections. They interfere with previously encoded memories. The very process of brain growth actively overwrites what was being recorded. Your brain was building itself so fast that it couldn't keep anything you stored. Babies aren't just failing to form memories. In many ways, they are experiencing the world more intensely than adults ever do. A 2016 study led by neuroscientist Alison Gopnik at UC Berkeley, one of the leading researchers on infant cognition, found that infant brains operate in a state that has no adult equivalent. Babies have significantly higher levels of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter associated with learning and plasticity, than adults. Their brains are not less active than adult brains. They are, in some ways, more active, more open to new information, more sensitive to sensory input, more capable of making unexpected connections between unrelated things. Gopnik describes the infant brain as a lantern rather than a spotlight. Adult attention is a spotlight, focused, directed, filtering out irrelevant information. Infant attention is a lantern. diffuse, open, illuminating everything simultaneously without hierarchy or filter. The baby experiencing its first rain shower isn't having a lesser experience than an adult would. It is having a more total one. Every sensation arriving with equal weight. Nothing filtered, nothing categorized, nothing compared to previous rain showers because there are no previous rain showers. The experience is happening. It is vivid and complete and real. It is simply not being filed anywhere that the adult brain can later retrieve. And language is part of this too because episodic memories aren't just stored as raw sensory recordings. They are encoded in the brain alongside the narrative framework available at the time of encoding, the story you tell yourself about what happened, even briefly, even unconsciously, becomes part of how the memory is stored and how it can later be retrieved. Before language, that narrative framework doesn't exist. A pre-verbal infant experiencing something, even something significant, even something emotionally intense, has no internal narrative to attach to the experience. No words to organize it, no story structure to encode it within. The experience registers as sensation and emotion, but without the verbal scaffolding that the adult retrieval system expects to find. This is why even early childhood memories, from age 2 or 3, are often retrieved as fragments rather than scenes. A color, a feeling, a face without a name. The narrative scaffolding was still being constructed, and the memory was encoded in something between pre-verbal sensation and verbal story. The adult brain trying to retrieve a pre-verbal memory is like searching for a file saved in a format the current operating system can no longer read. The data may still exist somewhere, but the software to open it is gone. But there is one more layer to this that nobody talks about. The self that remembers needs a self to remember as. Episodic memory isn't just a recording of what happened. It's a recording of what happened to you, and the you that has a continuous sense of identity. The self that persists through time, that understands itself as the same person who existed yesterday and will exist tomorrow. Is itself a construction that takes years to fully form. Infants don't have a stable self-concept. They are not yet experiencing the world as a subject with a continuous identity moving through time. The psychological architecture that makes episodic memory feel like your own past, the sense of "I was there," is still being built. You can't remember being a baby, partly because the you that does the remembering didn't exist yet, which means the first years of your life were experienced by someone who is in some profound sense no longer here. Someone who felt everything with full intensity, who learned your language and your face recognition and your understanding of physical objects from scratch, without instruction, at a speed no adult brain could replicate, who was building in total amnesia the cognitive infrastructure that everything you have ever consciously experienced since has run on. You don't remember any of it, but everything you are was built there.